The land was dry that summer, dust rising like smoke as the wind pushed across the open Texas plains. Daniel Grayson stepped down from his truck, boots pressing into the soil of the ranch he'd just bought, 300 acres of broken fences, dying grass, and memories that weren't his. For years, this place had belonged to another man, one who'd raised cattle and children here. Now, it was Daniel's turn to start over. He wasn't a young man anymore, 38, worn from years of working other men's land. His hands were calloused, his face marked by sun and sorrow. This ranch was more than a purchase, it was his second chance. He'd lost a lot: his parents, his wife, and the child they never got to hold. The silence of those years had settled deep inside him, and now, standing in that silence again, he could almost hear it whisper, "Start again." The main barn was half collapsed, the paint on the house peeled by time. But Daniel didn't see ruin. He saw what could be fixed. He rolled up his sleeves and got to work. "Spread it open," he muttered to himself, prying the old barn doors wide with a crowbar. They screeched in protest, but he forced them open, dust bursting into the light like ghosts escaping. Inside were tools, old hay, and the faint smell of a life once lived. As the sun began to set, he worked harder, with the kind of stubborn force that came from a man who had nothing left to lose. Sweat rolled down his neck, but a small, steady fire burned in his chest. That night, while eating by the porch steps, he noticed movement at the edge of the fence: a young boy, no older than 10, with dirt-streaked cheeks and fear in his eyes. The kid looked hungry, clutching a torn backpack. Daniel stood slowly, heart pounding. "Hey, you lost, son," he called out gently. The boy hesitated, then shook his head. "No, sir, I just don't got anywhere to go." The wind carried the boy's trembling words across the dark field, and Daniel felt something stir inside him, something he thought had died years ago. Maybe this land wasn't just about rebuilding fences. Maybe it was about rebuilding a life. Daniel didn't sleep much that night. The boy's voice kept echoing in his head, "I don't got anywhere to go." He sat by the dying fire, staring out toward the field, until the sun rose over the horizon. When morning came, the boy was still there, sitting beside the fence post with his knees tucked to his chest. Daniel poured 2 cups of coffee, one black, one sweetened with sugar, and walked over. "Name's Daniel," he said quietly. "You got one." The boy looked up, eyes guarded but hopeful. "Eli," he answered. "Well, Eli," Daniel said, handing him the warm cup, "you look like you could use a meal. There's eggs inside. You can stay long enough to eat, and maybe longer, if you're willing to help me fix this place up." That morning, Eli followed Daniel into the kitchen, eyes wide at the smell of frying bacon. He ate like someone who hadn't had breakfast in days. Between bites, Daniel learned the boy's story: a runaway from a nearby town, no family left to claim him, no home to return to. For the first time in years, Daniel felt purpose again. The silence that used to crush him now felt alive, filled with the small sounds of Eli sweeping the porch, laughing when the rooster chased him, asking endless questions about the horses. Days turned into weeks. Together they rebuilt the barn, mended fences, and planted new grass. Every nail hammered into place seemed to mend a little more of Daniel's heart. He watched the boy grow stronger, braver, and more at home. One evening, while the sun bled across the horizon, Eli handed Daniel a small, crookedly carved wooden horse. "Made it for you," he said shyly. "For being kinda like my dad." Daniel froze. The simple word hit him harder than any storm could. He looked at the boy, this lost, stubborn, hopeful kid, and felt tears burn behind his eyes. He knelt, rough hands on Eli's shoulders. "Then I reckon I'll have to be a good one," he said softly. The ranch no longer felt empty. It was alive again, with laughter, work, and the bond of 2 souls who'd both been broken, and somehow found each other among the dust and open sky.